Joining us now also from the floor of the Republican convention is former White House Chief of Staff and Senior Advisor of Bondi Partners. You know him well, Mick Mulvaney. Mick, thanks so much for coming to us tonight. Huge speech, long speech, big speech. What did you make of it?
You know, James, in another time, in another place, it might have been viewed as a low-energy speech. But I think what it was tonight was subdued. Clearly, this is a gentleman who has been changed by the near-death experience last week. He's a different man than I've known for the last 7 or 8 years. The message was strong. The message was a message of unity. Yeah, you heard some of the greatest hits. You heard some, things about the border and inflation and wars overseas and so forth. But there was a lot of emotion in this speech, a lot more emotion that you usually hear from Donald Trump. He let a lot of the other people here this week and tonight sort of do the red meat stuff. We had the bands before, we had the Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, but he focused mostly on trying to bring the party together, and in doing so, trying to bring the country together. The closing tonight of this speech was as emotional as I think I've ever seen him.
And Mick, I just thought that it was really remarkable the way that he had that long discussion about what had happened there in Pennsylvania. I mean, that seemed quite genuine to me, his discussion about it, even if I think some critics said that maybe he was hamming it up a little bit. I mean, this is a guy who literally had a bullet whiz right past his ear, and if he hadn't turned at this particular second, we literally would not have been seeing him there.
One of the fascinating things about the speech, James, was that when they handed out the print version of it, they emailed it actually, so it's a digital version, that entire section was missing. What it said was, Trump will now talk about this for the next few minutes. So he did not even put down in print what he was talking about on the stage. Very, very unusual for him when it comes to giving his speeches. The curious thing to watch now in the next couple of weeks is tonight he said he will never talk about it again. I'd be curious to see if he stays true to that.
Yeah, and I was also, Mick, I think it was quite strong and moving, the point where he paid tribute to the firefighter who died at the rally. Let's just have a little quick look at a little bit of that.
He was a highly respected former fire chief, respected by everybody. Was accompanied by his wife, Helen, incredible woman. I spoke to her today, devastated, and 2 precious daughters. He lost his life selflessly acting as a human shield to protect them from flying bullets. He went right over the top of them and was hit.
And Mick, what I was struck by in that was that he tried to unite everybody in the room and everybody in the party around the memory of this firefighter who died, in a sense sort of bringing that experience to everybody else. Is that correct?
It was, James. I don't know if you picked up on the line, but the one that really jumped out at me was a line I'd never heard him use before, and I think it was right before he went over to hug the jacket. He said, I want to win for the whole country. Winning for just part of the country is not winning at all. I know I'm butchering that, but that was the juxt of what he was saying. Again, I've never heard Donald Trump talk like that, so I really think he's serious about trying to be a president for the whole nation. That sounds sort of hackneyed. It sounds contrived. But again, I've never heard Donald Trump use that language until tonight.
No, and I mean, I think it's something that we've been seeing even since before the assassination attempt last weekend, that he has been more strategic and more, I think, measured in his language. One thing I was also struck by the language, the positive language towards the end around resetting people's expectations. You can expect more. And he talked also about bringing back the American dream. Have a listen to this.
I will bring back the American dream. That's what we're going to do. You don't even hear about the American dream anymore. With great humility, I am asking you to be excited about the future of our country. Be excited. Be excited.
Mick, I thought this was powerful because it hit on something that I get from a lot of Americans, which is that everybody's sights have been so lowered during the past 4 years that they just are trying to survive, and I think he wants them to thrive. Is that the message here?
Yeah, the line, I think, was something along the lines of, the last few years you've been told to lower your expectations. I'm asking you to raise them. you deserve better. That is a very, very powerful line, especially coming out of COVID, coming out of inflation and so forth. Very powerful, positive message. Again, what was the point here tonight? Yeah, you had to talk to the party faithful. That's what these conventions are really about. But he's also reaching out to the 4 or 5 or 6% of the country that's undecided, folks that might like his policies but not sure they like him or not. He was quite likable tonight. And to the extent that Democrats want to try and make him out as a threat to democracy, the gentleman on the stage tonight was not a threat to democracy. The man tonight on the stage was trying to set himself up as a protector and a defender of democracy. Again, a dramatic change for him from some of his speeches before the incidents last week.
And Mick, I mean, one of the things, too, was that there was a lot of talk about some of those enemies of democracy. He had a big whack at Democrats trying to weaponize the justice system. Have a listen to this.
We must not criminalize dissent or demonize political disagreement, which is what's been happening in our country lately at a level that nobody has ever seen before. In that spirit, the Democrat Party should immediately stop weaponizing the justice system and labeling their political opponent as an enemy of democracy. Especially since that is not true. In fact, I am the one saving democracy for the people of our country.
Mick, I can't imagine this line will have gone down well at, say, the New York Times editorial board.
Yeah, but keep in mind, that's a line that he's been using a variation of that line for a long time, or that series of lines you just said. And in print, they're going to look very much the same. The delivery tonight, James, was very different. It was calm. It was controlled. It was again, the word that I've used, that I've heard used to describe Donald Trump this week is serene. Again, a word we never used to describe Donald Trump in the past. It's a different method, a different delivery. And my guess is it's going to be designed to appeal to those very few people in the middle who haven't made up their minds on him yet. Very appealing, I think, to those folks coming out of this convention.
Hey, Mick, I'm going to let you go in a minute, but before I do, I just want to ask you what you make of all of the mayhem in the Democrat Party, including these reports and counter-reports and leaks and counter-leaks that Joe Biden is and isn't going to wind up stepping down from the race, maybe as early as this weekend. What do you make of all of it?
Well, we've heard now that might be a false flag. It might be somebody trying to encourage Biden to get out of the race. Here's what I say to folks, James, is that in 2016, it was the Republicans who were coming into their convention and out of their convention in complete disarray. Now in 2024, it's the Democrats who are in that same circumstance. At the same time, the Republicans won in 2016, so nobody can be counting the victories yet, but certainly the Republicans are much more unified coming out of their convention than the Democrats are going in 4 weeks from now.
Mick Mulvaney, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It looks like a heck of a party there going on behind you. Enjoy yourself. Thank you so much for your time, Mick Mulvaney.